Welcome to the replay of the presentations held during the DigiDemo Final Conference that took place at Esther Belfort on June 14, 2023 in Belfort, France. Within the DigiDemo project, the partners created 20 demonstrators allowing improving students' understanding and capability to develop smart, connected products. The DigiDemo project got a co-funding from the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. If you are interested in learning more about the project or the demonstrators that have been developed, please visit the project's website at the address www.digidemo-project.eu. The following film replays the second intervention about marketing in the circular economy area. The topic is presented by Xavie Batinji. He is Director Customer Solutions Development and in charge of the implementation of circular economy at Ricoh Industry France.
Thank you very much for joining us within your busy day, because I know that you have a kind of delegation in-house that you have to accompany since this morning. Thank you very much, and the floor is yours for the next 30 to 40 minutes. Take the time you need.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Can you hear me properly? Everything works well?
Yes, we can hear you properly, and just remember that it's recorded for information.
All right. So thank you very much. I'm very pleased to join you today. It's a great honor. And as mentioned, you can see my slides, right? I'm going to speak about marketing in the circular economy area, and I will use the Ricoh example as reference. So first of all, short presentation about myself. My name, as you said, is Xavie Batinji. I'm in charge of deploying the Ricoh Group vision about circular economy in Europe. I'm a business development. I'm director of a department in charge of these activities. And I have to say that I am passionate about circular economy. So that's why I take the time to join you, even if I've got a birthday, because for me, circular economy, it's not only my job, it's also my passion. And that's why also I go in several schools. In this room also, I was there, I think 2 months ago, in front of students. So yeah, definitely a great pleasure to be with you today. So I'm going to speak about the Ricoh sustainability development approach, and then I will move to the Ricoh's marketing approach by taking the example of the market release of a new multifunctional printer. And then I will speak about marketing in circular economy. And I would like to emphasize the fact that in circular economy area, we have to convince, of course, our customers, but not only them. And you will understand better later on. But as a starting point, I wanted to speak about what is driving the shift to a circular economy in today's world. And because I hear too much about greenwashing, I hear too much about this kind of thing. And to be honest, I'm quite often upset about all this greenwashing. For many companies, we have to be honest, circular economy now is a big topic because we speak now about resilience. We speak about resilience because for a company, in order to procure enough raw materials and to continue to produce, they need to establish, by considering the coming shortages and the difficulties that the world is facing now, they need to think differently in order to maintain their ability to sell. This is, for example, some extract from the French news, but you will understand that I'm speaking here about the shortages in electronic components, for instance. I'm thinking about the crisis in Ukraine, Russia. For instance, I'm working for a Japanese company. And as you can imagine, the relationship between Japan and China is not always as good as it should be. So they have also to think differently, enabling to anticipate possible crises. So the idea, and for me, a keyword related to circular economy, it's of course about environmental aspect, but it's also about building a resilient supply chain. And that's why more and more companies now across industries are adopting a circular principle to reduce costs, to increase revenue, and to manage risk. But as I told you before, anyway, I am passionate. So I will say that whatever the backgrounds, as soon as we increase the value and we unlock the value of the circular economy, I'm fine. So now I'm going to switch to the Ricoh's sustainability development approach. So first, few words about the Ricoh company. So as I mentioned before, Ricoh is a Japanese company and a Japanese company created back in 1936. And it's especially well known for all the copiers and all the cameras, especially in Japan for the camera, but you may have seen copiers everywhere in various offices. But now today, as you can imagine, the printing business is going down. So the main purpose of our company today is to make sure that every single employee's collaborators will be able in the future to work more efficiently, perhaps remotely, and in collaboration with everybody. So the idea is to create new value and accelerate the team creativity within any companies, within all offices. So in a nutshell, it means work together anywhere. Few figures about Ricoh. It's 2 billion turnover last year. We are speaking about approx 80,000 collaborators across the world, 20% of them being in EMEA. And also key figures, we speak about 5.5% of this turnover dedicated to R&D. That's why, of course, the copiers is one of the main products. But you will see later on that we invest also in other completely different areas like healthcare and other activities. Ricoh Group and the circular economy is a long story. Actually, I'm here today in front of you, and you can see behind me the commerce cycle designed back in 1994. At that time, believe me, circular economy wasn't a popular topic. But already at that time, they think how we can improve our impact in the environment by reducing the inputs of raw material and by reducing the waste at the final disposal. All of this by keeping as long as possible close to the customer, so the red dots to be close to the customer. So first, by maintaining the product. But then, in case there is no more appetite for the product because there is no more demand, the features do not match anymore with the expectations, then we collect the goods and we can reuse them, remanufacture them, and so on and so on. So this principle, we use it inside the factory in order to develop new activities. And I told you before that I'm very pragmatic. Again, circular economy is not only about being green, it's also a strategy. And for instance, our former president attended to the Climate Week in New York City back in 2018, sorry. And at that time, he said that any company that doesn't contribute to the achievement of the SDGs will be ignored in a close future by the market. So also it's about a strategical choice. And at Ricoh, I'm very happy to be part of this company because we are not only followers. The idea was to be okay, because anyway, we have to move forward. So let's be the leader in this area. So I'm Xavie Batagen. I'm working at Ricoh Industrie France, one of the production plants located in Europe. And more precisely, this production plant is located in Colmar. It's not that far from Belfort. It's about 1 hour driving. And in this building, these buildings were built back in 1987. As of today, we are approximately 600 employees, and we speak about a turnover of almost 200 million euros. Basically, here we've got two main activities. One which is called thermal media. I won't elaborate too much. It's out of the scope of this presentation. And we've got the circular economy-oriented activities. Circular economy-oriented activities, I'm speaking about the reuse of parts and supply. I'm speaking about the remanufacturing of multifunctional printers. I'm speaking about material recovery and repairing as a service. As of today, we speak at approx 200 collaborators that are working directly in these workshops. And Ricoh Industrie France, through these various activities, contributes to the achievement of the Ricoh Group environmental goals. It's basically what I highlight in my presentation. Thanks to all these so-called 3R activities, so reduce, reuse, and recycle, we are able to avoid emission and to recover some emissions that the group is creating through its activities. So again, we spoke about the 3R, also the 4R, reduce, reuse, recycle, repair. But I told you that this journey started a long time ago because we have seen the commerce cycle. It was a magnificent idea in order to market this, for the marketing perspective, in order to explain to our customers, but also to our collaborators about a vision about circular economy. And following that concept establishment, we started also as a factory to deploy this activity within our facilities. And it started back in 1996 with a little workshop, only 2 persons at that time. And we were repairing PCB, so printed circuit boards at that time. And again, it was only few people, and now we are more than 200. And step by step, we extend our capability. And in 2020, interesting step, because for the first time, we launched the first Ricoh automatized production line for recycled cartridges. That was a big step for us, because as you can imagine, it's difficult to manage recycled products. It's sometimes more expensive due to the fact that raw material is very variable. You've got a lot of fluctuation from a quality perspective. You do not have that when you are producing a new product, because all the raw material is new, clean, and it's very easy to automatize a production line. When you are speaking about recycling activities, then it's a big challenge, because of course, the raw material have a first life before it's coming inside your building, which means that it could be in very good shape, but sometimes also in very bad quality. And it's difficult, as I said, to automatize such production lines. Last but not least, 2 years ago, we extend our service to a non-Ricoh company and to a non-Ricoh product. In that case, it's also a Japanese company called SoftBank Robotics. And we are now the official European center for the repairing of one of our products, which is an automated vacuum called Wiz. As I said, Ricoh, it's more than 200 experts dedicated to CE-oriented activities. And since we started our journey, it's more than 45,000 green lines that we remanufactured at Ricoh Industrie France. And it's also more than 5 million parts and supplies that we remanufacture again in our facilities. But we are facing many challenges. And one of them is, in this business environment, is the consumer's perception, and the willingness to pay for reused products. Actually, as I said, the problem is that in our business, it's sometimes more complicated, more expensive to remanufacture a product than to produce a new one, because you have to think about all the reverse logistics, quite expensive. You have to think, as I explained before, about the raw material quality, how you do manage that, and all the difficulties related to the automatized production lines establishment. So for the Ricoh Green Line, for instance, so this line, the customer, we could have seen that is still not ready to pay the same price, despite the same specification, the same guarantee, the same warranty, and many credentials, the same ones than for a new product. And that's why, from a marketing perspective, I'm fighting in order to be audited by as much as possible external actors. I'm thinking, for instance, about the Solar Impulse Foundation. I'm thinking about the BSI, the British Standards Institution. Our process is audited as a yearly basis and compliant with the specification for remanufacturing process. And I'm thinking, for instance, about the label Service France guarantee, because we can prove that our human resources, of course, are compliant with the latest regulations, French regulation. So for these specific products, from a marketing perspective, of course, we try to emphasize, to highlight all the green aspects. And you can see here that for some products, we're able to reuse almost 95% of the parts and components by white of the original product, sorry. And I spoke also about the Solar Impulse Foundation. Perhaps this label is not well known, but basically we have been attributed this label since 2021. And the idea is that now we are joining the group of the 1,000 solutions already existing, cost effective, that can support any companies actually. So again, the idea is to emphasize the value from a marketing perspective and it's a way for us to differentiate from our competitors. So you can see here, this foundation led by Bertrand Picard. So that's for the reused product, remanufactured product. As you could have seen, many challenges. If I speak now about our new devices that have been released in the market, actually this product was launched in the European market just a couple of days ago, just 2 weeks ago to be sharp. And it's our new A3 multifunction printers. And speaking about circular economy, the good point is that now these products already have, speaking about the plastic, they've got more than 50% of post-consumer recycled materials, which is extremely good. And you can see that we adjust our communication and we really emphasize this added value to our customer. So again, carbon footprints, circular economy is becoming a big topic. And then now we are ready also to answer to the market demand, thanks to our new product, but also thanks to our already established circular economy-oriented processes. And we speak about the products. You can see different features. I won't elaborate too much into details, but you can see that we speak about the product itself. We speak about the packaging to transport it. We speak also about the electrical consumptions and so on and so on. And yeah, I spoke about electrical consumption. We can also highlight some concrete figures, real figures that emphasize the fact that our product is less energy consumer. Also, I am part of a factory, and what we do, we always feedback to the Japanese designer what is required in order to improve the future reuse of this product. And I just pick up one example. In the past, the covers, the plastic covers, were assembled because it was quicker and cheaper, were assembled just thanks to claws, so clip. And we feedback to them, we say, it's not a good idea. First of all, it's very difficult to find out where these clips are. It's very fragile. And when we start to dismantle, then it just, it's like IKEA furniture. It's collapsed completely. So we feedback. And then since 2015, all the new multifunctional printers basically are using more screws, less claws, and it's always very well indicated. So the position of screws are very easy to capture. And then it enables us to have a much better ratio of reuse parts. So that's the type of very simple thing that thanks to the feedback of a factory like us, we improve the circular economy ratio and efficiency. So this is, speaking about our product, this is basically the whole scope of the added value and the green aspect we would like to promote through our communication. And I speak about marketing in order to sell our product to a customer. But based on my experience, they are not the only person to convince. You have to convince also the whole supply chain. I mean by that, you have to convince also the sales team and also the factory member. And I will tell you a story. Initially, Ricoh Industrie France was in the past a production site only dedicated to the production of brand new products. So we had this magnificent line. Everything was brilliant and very nice, clean, and so on. Our collaborators were wearing even suits like you are working in a NASA, right? That was in the past. And then we switch to circular economy oriented activity. And then our raw material became sometimes dirty, sometimes broken. And it was a challenge, of course, from a cost efficiency perspective. But it was also a challenge from a human resource perspective. Why? Because people from a day to another had the feeling that they were downgrading. Because in the past, they were managing goods in very good condition, very clean condition, and now the goods, the raw material was dirty and so on and so on. So for us, it was important also to apply a marketing concept, not only for our customers, but also to speak internally, to improve our communication in order to make sure that they understood that thanks to your actions, thanks to the job we are doing, we are providing a better environment for the future generation, a better situation. And so that's why we started this new journey, this new circular economy journey, by implementing in the middle of a workshop, the showroom actually where I am now, in order to explain, to educate all of course, outside schools and so on, but especially at the beginning, our collaborators, in order to recreate pride at work. And so we spoke about the SDGs, so you can see that we are performing many events around the SDGs. Our collaborators are wearing the SDG pins and so on and so on. Also, created pride at work, it means also to make sure that people understand the impact on the environment that they will create. And that's why you've got this kind of display where you can see the number of units made, but also you can see the equivalent of CO2 that were saved thanks to this production line. And I spoke about the SDGs. Actually, this month is the SDG Action Month. And so that's why I'm also extremely proud to join you today, because for me, it's also an action, a concrete example of how a private company can support this kind of organization and various schools and establishments. So thank you very much for the invitation, because also it was the opportunity for me to share my passion. That's ending my presentation. So if you've got questions, do not hesitate.
Thank you, Mr. Battinger, for this interesting presentation. Most of us, I think, have been somehow aware about how to change products to become a little bit more sustainable in the future. Not sure that we've been as well aware about the challenges inside the manufacturing line and towards the own employees, which is, at least for me, this was something completely new and very, very interesting, and facts to be considered in our future thinking and actions also towards our students. So thank you very much. Are there any questions from the public? Aspen?
Yeah, thank you very much for a very nice presentation. And I completely agree with Thomas, having this point of view regarding the people operating in the manufacturing part of your company is also new to me and really interesting. You talked about this reduce when we talk about the R strategies, and I'm very much agreeing with you that reducing is a key element of the circular economy. But have you as a company given any thought about, let's say, the big reduce part if you start beginning to produce less products? Because the most sustainable products are essentially the ones that we are not producing. So
I fully.
So you know, how have you given that any thought that if you at some point will start reducing the amount of products that you're producing and how that will affect the whole company, your supply chain, your business model, and everything?
So first of all, I fully agree with you. The best waste is the one that we do not create. We all know that. And you could have seen the evolution of the Ricoh strategy about ourselves when you go to the big office, for instance. In the past, you would have had a printer per desk. That was the old days. And nowadays, now you've got usually a very nice, a very big multifunctional printers for a full open space. So that's how we are progressing. Means that we are selling less, but we are selling better with better features and so on and so on. So that's the first thing that must be said. And then speaking from a factory perspective, it could mean that we will produce less, we will remanufacture less. So it could be a danger for us. But actually, at this stage, I don't think so. I don't think so because the ratio, the percentage of goods that as of today, we're able to remanufacture because of the demand is still low. We speak against the sales of new devices, we speak at a ratio of approx 5 to 10%. So there is plenty of space for us. So even if the market itself is going down, from a factory perspective, my factory perspective, I expect still growth because we'll have more volume and then a better ratio, better percentage against the whole marketplace. But a full right, reduce, that's the first step.
Thank you very much for this answer. I have another question. The European Commission just released this kind of non-financial reporting direction. I don't know what's the exact name, but where companies, at least the big ones, have to report now about within Aarhus their environmental impact, and this will go into the evaluation of the companies. Do you think that this will help you convincing customers to go towards this kind of recycled or rebuild? I don't know how you said it. Probably not recycled, because recycle is I take it and I give it as it is, but you rebuild them again. I don't know what exact word you're using for this, but this could be or should be a strong argument towards customers for this kind of product.
Yeah, and the first thing about me said, I'm lobbying a lot in order to have stricter regulation, because as a Ricoh member, we are ready to comply to any type of regulation, speaking about circular economy concept. So that's the first thing I would like to emphasize. And today, if I take the example of the French law, I'm more familiar with the French law as a French guy, but the French law, we speak about the loi AGEC, so anti-gaspillage and pro-circular economy. And in this loi AGEC, in my business environment, now for public tender, you must have at least 20% of the goods that are coming from recycling or remanufacturing and so on. So that's very good. The only thing as of today that we are facing is that the definition itself is not very clear. And that's the problem I'm facing. I have seen competitors that are saying, look, it's a reuse product because as part of this new product, you've got 50% of the plastic that is coming from recycling processes. So I would say that the evil is in the definition. So I'm lobbying to have a better definition about recycling, refurbishment, remanufacturing, and so on. And that will definitely help companies like us that are already in advance in such subject.
Okay. And what's with your suppliers? So as I understand, this kind of plastic parts based on recycled raw materials is also part of your new products. Is it difficult to convince the suppliers to go towards this kind of sustainable product or not?
You mean about the parts and supplies? You mean about
Yes,
the customer or the suppliers?
The suppliers. I'm speaking about
The supplier.
Yeah.
So no, but it's a long journey because of course we have to build up a resilient supply chain enabling to fulfill our demand. So you cannot change everything from a day to another. So we started this journey, and you could have seen just before that I spoke about the new devices that are made thanks to 50% of recycled materials for the covers, for instance. And it's the same we've got a green procurement policy, and it takes time. So we try to embrace, we try to build up partnerships, enabling us to be greener in the close future.
Thank you very much for your interest in the DigiDemo project that has been realized by UCN in Denmark, Faxkollen in Norway, FH Vorarlberg in Austria, Estabel4 in France, and UBB Resita in Romania between September 2020 and August 2023. The project got a co-funding from the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union.